Dude, have you seen how expensive traveling is getting?
Oh, dude, tell me about it. I ain't going nowhere. I'm broke as hell.
I'm gonna go pick me up some fast food, sit back down in my chair, pick up some VR glasses. I don't know. What about you, man?
Yeah, I think I'd do the same, man. Much better.
Are you tired of being stuck in one place? Are you yearning for adventure? Well, we have a solution for you today. Arktype, take it away.
In this podcast episode, we'll dive into the world of Metaverse tourism, discussing the impact of the tourism industry and exciting opportunities to present to travelers to see the world in a whole new way.
Let's do it. Let's dive in. What's up? I am Atlas Theory here with my co-host Arktype. Dude, how you doing today?
A little tired, but I'm good, man. Excited to record this episode with you. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Excited to record as well. It's an interesting topic because it's something that we've seen hints of, but nothing's like fully fleshed out yet, you know? So I'm super excited to like bounce some theory crafting and then dive into kind of some definitions about what metaverse tourism is, what it could be, and just kind of throw around the subject a little bit.
When we first talked about doing this episode, I thought, really? Is that a thing? Sounds like a bit of bullshit to me, really. But as I dug into it, I thought, you know what? Like this really could be a thing.
Yeah, definitely could. So let's just start with like a basic definition. I'll go ahead and give mine. And then if you have anything you want to add on top of that, feel free. What I see kind of metaverse tourism is the use of emerging technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality, and pairing them in a way that adds a layer to the real world, but also to this concept of the metaverse, which is usually defined as like a fully digital world. I know that you and I have some different definitions for what like the metaverse is, but that's kind of how I would do it, the pairing of those two predominant technologies.
Yeah, I would agree. I think those two in particular are going to have the biggest impact. And I'm actually excited to see AR play a big part in that as well, because we often dismiss AR because we don't have that fully developed as we do sort of where we're seeing virtual reality go. But I think that will be a big part.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's jump into tourism in general right now. What are some like things that we're seeing out in the real world that point towards a metaverse tourism future?
Well, I don't know if you picked up on it, but when we had the whole lockdown situation, I think that's when people started to think about it. Yeah. I saw sort of two things. One was a lot of different experiences coming out on the virtual reality headsets. And the other side of things was people that lived locally to some of these attractions were actually going out in the real world and they were filming and recording some of these tourist sites. And you got to experience them through their lens. And what was also cool was you were seeing it without the crowds. Like some of these pretty big tourist sites that you see, Paris, Leaning Tower of Pisa, Angkor Wat. Usually when you see them, heaps of people in the shot, and it's hard to get a sense of what that place would be like where you could just experience it on your own. And that was really nice. I liked seeing that. What did you see, or what have you seen in regards to this?
You know, touching on what you just said, last semester I did a little tour of the Norwegian town that I live in, and they actually have this like augmented reality tourist setup already, which I was super surprised about. So there's basically statues around the city, kind of to give some context, but there's also like stone carvings and I don't know if it was QR codes or if like the augmented reality camera just picked up the images, but basically you were able to walk around with a digital voice and it would pick up which location you are at, yeah, based on your location. And in some cases, you could hold up your phone and let's say the statue, some kind of effect would come out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I would be like, okay, like what's happening here? Because that was my first taste of any of this metaverse tourism stuff. And it really just like blew me away, even though it was like semi-simple to like what I know about augmented reality now. Yeah, I would say that was eye-opening for sure. Some things I've seen kind of just in the background is digital or tours of potential home buying sites. I see this quite often. They'll just start mapping out the layout of an apartment so you don't actually have to physically go and take the time to meet with a realtor and go through it. Like that can be done digitally. So yeah, kind of to your point, it's right on that edge there of, hey, this is going to be something that we're all going to experience, whether it's buying a house or traveling the world. This extra layer is being added.
Now that you mention it, it's got me thinking that I know Google sort of, they must have been thinking about this a long time ago because they had this 3D view that you could enable and you'd start off in like Google Maps and you'd find somewhere that you wanted to see. Say it's like the pyramids. And then you could switch it to a 3D view and you were like sort of, not a Google Street View, but it was a virtual 3D view. So you were seeing it as if you were a bird's eye view, just above the ground, kind of looking at it. And you were getting this three-dimensional like structures that would pop up, buildings and cities, not all locations, but you could see that they definitely put some effort into making certain sites three-dimensional in that same viewer. So they must have been thinking about this for a while. And their motto is, you know, basically to capture everything and just make it digital, all data, all images, everything. You know, maybe they're ahead of the curve. If it's not them, they could be selling that data to other companies that want to use it. That could be something that could be done. People could visit these sites on their bucket list without leaving the comfort of their home.
Exactly. And I think you're touching on like a subject I want to get into, which is business in the metaverse. But before we go there, I just want to ask you real fast, because I'm sure some people listening are possibly thinking this is anything lost by taking a tour digitally versus traveling there?
Yes, I think so. I think it's the journey of getting there. And often that isn't the best experience in the moment. It will suck. No one likes getting on a plane for 12 hours or getting off the plane into a bustling hot city and people are haggling at you and, you know, wanting you to buy stuff and all that stuff. In the moment, it sucks. But it adds to the value of actually being there, I think. And I think that is missed. If you think about just the actual experience of being there, I reckon with haptics, with 8K virtual reality headsets, when we get them, all those experiences are going to feel damn real. And probably a lot more benefits, like of being able to pause something or take your time in those places, being able to see it without anyone around, that sort of thing. I definitely think would maybe even trump the real experience. But I think it's the journey. The journey is what makes it. You put effort into it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I definitely feel you. And I have this question, I guess, is that fixed? And we don't have to answer that, but just something to think about. Is that fixed when we have a full metaverse available? So we do travel from A to B, like the entire journey, if you choose to. Because like you're saying, a lot of what we have right now, we just jump to the pyramid or jump over to Greece. But I think in the future, this whole travel experience will be kind of built in into like a digital world. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of exciting. But let's jump over to like the business side. You mentioned, you know, mapping out everything digitally. Is there like a few businesses that you see really taking advantage of metaverse tourism?
I haven't seen them, but I definitely have ideas for how people could set up these businesses. Have you seen anything in particular that has piqued your interest?
To be honest, not really. There's a few people, I'm sure, playing around with it, like we're mentioning, mostly in that like augmented reality. But when we speak of like the metaverse as we all know it, let's just say Oasis, Ready Player One type stuff, it's not there yet. We're not ready yet. But
Well,
I'm sure there's going to be a surge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's not around, let's do some theory crafting. What do you think would be some potential first iterations that we see? And then where do you think things could go from there, both in real life and in the metaverse experience?
Okay, so metaverse businesses, metaverse tourism. I have to speak from the first place of knowledge, which are space games. Like we mentioned many times, we're part of Star Atlas, multiple planets being built out. And with the use of AI, I think that eventually planets could be generated as you go. So there will be these ships, and there's some Star Atlas crafts that are kind of almost tailored to tourism in a way. I think that a company could come in to a built metaverse, buy an asset like this ship, then start advertising on taking like these journeys through the stars. And to your point, we would be going from A to B and not jumping around. You would have historians as well, like these tour guides who like, hey, over on that planet, there was this battle between these two guilds in Star Atlas, and this one failed, and this is how it impacted this whole region. Stories continue and will be told through these journeys. And that's really, really exciting. Beyond that, with the real world looking towards that, I just see more AR being built out into some really cool systems. What about you?
Yeah, I think first iterations we're going to see AR where it would be like a tour guide with you, similar to what you were talking about with the statues in Norway. I think people aren't ready for hands-free augmented reality devices. And I'm talking about either it's Apple or it's some other company coming out with something that just looks like a pair of glasses, a nice designer set of frames. And in that, you could have the augmented reality experiences where it can be a simple hologram of someone standing there talking and giving a history lesson on some of these things, or a little animation or whatever it is. But I think that'll be that first iteration. And what that will allow you to do is be hands-free and still be a tourist, have a camera in your hand, or, get something out of your backpack while you're still listening to the tour. I think that's definitely probably the first iteration. As well, you could do that in virtual reality. So I've seen before they have these experiences where you would have someone go with like a 3D camera. So like it just spins and just 3D captures. And then you can experience that in sort of like a first person view, and you can turn around and you can look at different things. They have that already, which is pretty cool. So I think that's kind of the blend of like real world things that we're going to see. And then definitely, if you're talking about a virtually displayed, created environment inside the metaverse, to your point, if you have to travel somewhere, I'd like to see companies doing quests. So instead of just dropping like straight in there, they could blend that with different stuff. So it might be that you are an explorer and you have to kayak down a river and avoid certain obstacles or do some sort of challenge or get there in a certain time for you to unlock the next experience that might be downriver. You see something that you want to go see, or, maybe you have to pilot a plane. Maybe you have to navigate through and get to a certain place and actually land. Like Flight Simulator is huge with people. They love that stuff. Like they will literally get on there and fly for hours. Once you land, you could get in a car and you could have like a rally experience through the jungle to get to where you want to go. That's where I think you could put the challenge to it and create that journey. And once you get there, you unlock like a certain NFT to say, hey, I spent like a day traveling to this place. I'm an OG explorer. I think that would be cool.
I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, some kind of like badge or like stamp system. Stamp your digital passport. That's so cool to think about too. Like other ways to experience versus us taking a train or walking is like, no, let's have these big motorbikes that we're like taking through the jungle, instead. That's really cool. I like that. Other like metaverse businesses that I see kind of being built on top of that is like big name brand like cruises coming in, train systems. And often as you get on one of those, they have pamphlets of like each city and top restaurants to try within that city. So I think that's going to be showcased as well, right in the metaverse. We see Walmart and these other brands trying out metaverse experiences already. So I think it's just a next layer that we're going to get to like really make it feel like you're on this journey that we're talking about. Yeah. So really cool. Really excited about that.
What do you think about like when you think of traveling to a new city and perhaps it's a city that doesn't speak the native language that you're used to, and you're worried about all these things like, how do I get from A to B? How do I read the signs? It says here on TripAdvisor that I need to get this train to this platform to this city and then swap over here. Yeah. Oh, like I've got it all written down, but there's just that worry and that fear. And it may be for some people like half the fun, but for other people, it would actually limit them from going and doing those things. I'm wondering if someone could experience those things and almost like train themselves before they go of what steps they have to take to have their journey. That could be something that people would benefit from and probably overcome their fear to go and to explore new places because they get to try before they buy, sort of thing.
Yeah, it just adds to the experience too, right? There's a reason why we bought Pokemon Red and Blue, the complete player's guide, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to miss anything. We wanted to know where to go, I think it's kind of that same, concept almost like an evolution of like the player guides, these big books that we would buy, to like make sure we got the full experience. So that's kind of cool. That's really cool to think about. And I'm glad we're touching on this because this is a very important, probably the most important concept when it comes to tourism and travel in the metaverse. And it's something I actually didn't think about before this conversation, like admittedly, going from A to B and making sure you get that authentic travel experience. Yeah. That's huge, dude. We've talked a little bit about like the businesses that are coming in, what metaverse tourism means. And we're already kind of like hinting there, but where do you see the future going? I want to jump to a time where we have a fully built out metaverse. Something like the Oasis again, if you've seen Ready Player One. Let's go. Future of metaverse tourism.
Ooh, yeah. Well, then you're talking about unlimited experiences, right? Through anything that could be in this world or anything that could be imagined in the future. Yeah. So you've got literally past, present, and future experiences, whatever your mind could imagine. That would be pretty awesome, right? Yeah. No, that'd be so cool. And then, I think we've actually really done a good job of already touching on like the main things, like, how you travel, why you travel, experiences to have in certain locations. I think that really is just the future of metaverse tourism. It's, we sit at our day job most of the time for hours, 8 hours. We go home, spend some time with the family, maybe sit and watch a show. And most of our money goes towards maintaining those things. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of money to travel. So I think that this is giving a way for humans to experience what we should be experiencing, almost. And I think it plays towards education as well. A brand new way to teach, a brand new way to live and experience. And I think it'll be beautiful. 100%. Yeah. Oh, bring it on, man. I'm excited. What would your bucket list be? Okay. So I want to know if you could enjoy one of these experiences of something that's in real world, past, present, future sort of thing. What would you want to experience like in a fully fleshed out metaverse? Are you ready? Yeah, let's hear it. I want to travel the world
in augmented reality, chasing down Carmen Sandiego.
Oh.
I loved those games when I was younger, and if I got to be a freaking detective and like worked and figured out clues and got to fly around the world, either in digital or real world, chasing down this iconic villain, that has to be a thing someday.
Damn, that's a good answer. You've thought about this, haven't you?
It's my dream. I have to pass that back over to you, though, Arktype. What would you do in either or both situations?
If it was real world that we could experience, past, I'd love to go back in history and explore some of these ancient worlds.
Yeah.
Present, probably it would be something that I wouldn't normally have the time or money to go and do. So, probably something natural beauties like Yellowstone or Yosemite, something like that. Because that is a 18-hour flight for me if I was to go there.
Wow.
So definitely something that's a little further out of reach for me. And then future, I think one of those experiences we talked about where you have to actually journey, like you get in a flight, maybe some cool airplane, you have to fly somewhere, you land, you rally through the jungle, and then you get to a destination, and then you tick off a box. Like in real world life, my experiences has been, suck it up through pretty hair-raising adventures, risk your life, that sort of stuff. Really, I have had the best experiences doing, and I think it's a challenge and you feel so rewarded at the end of it. I would want some sort of experience like that where I could have an achievement and show it off and say, I went through hell and I got here. That would be my probably 3 that I would want to do for sure.
Oh, I love it. But we want to know now what you listening would love to see, past, present, or future in the metaverse. What is your ideal trip, your metaverse tourism dream? Let us know. Maybe we can go back, in a future episode talking about this and go through some and share what you guys want to do as well and kind of go back and forth on it. That'd be great. But where can they reach us, Arktype, to let us know what they would love to see in the future?
Yeah, so you can comment on this video below if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, give us a follow on there and leave a review if possible. You can also get us on our socials. So we're mainly on Twitter at Metaversed Pod, and we have a website, metaversedpod.com. Check us out there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. Hit that like for us and stay versed. Is that the right one? Stay versed?
Yeah, stay versed.
Yeah, okay, cool. I know it was something like that.